Hi, this is New Time on Silkway TV channel. This week, Astana is at the center of the world's environmental agenda. The Regional Ecological Summit has brought together heads of state, UN leaders and climate negotiators for what may be the most consequential ecological gathering this region has ever hosted. At the same time, leaders of Central Asia have signed a joint declaration on environmental solidarity, while the president of Kazakhstan has held high-level political dialogues with his counterparts visiting the capital. I am Yergali Ramazanulu, and we are ready to break down everything that has shaped this week. It's been a busy week on the political front, starting with the state visit of Mongolia's president to Kazakhstan. For the first time in 20 years, a high-level Mongolian delegation has arrived in Astana, where the two countries have signed 13 agreements across key sectors, from agriculture to digitalization and education. The leaders also agreed to increase bilateral trade to $500 million. What this means for our countries and the signal it sends to the world in the next segment.
2 years ago, President Tokayev paid a state visit to Mongolia, where 11 documents were signed and a cooperation roadmap through 2027 was approved. A roadmap that still guides both countries today. And this week, President Ukhnagin Khurelsukh arrived in Astana.
The dialogue between the two presidents continued in a narrow-format meeting where the head of state underlined their shared history and its lasting impact on a strategic partnership between the two nations.
Our brotherly nations are united by a shared history and common roots. We are descendants of nomadic civilizations. Kazakhs and Mongols have been close neighbors for centuries. Our ways of life and traditions are very similar. Even today, these timeless values form the foundation of our friendship. Cooperation between our countries is developing in the spirit of a strategic partnership. Intergovernmental, interparliamentary and interstate ties are strengthening.
President Tokayev also noted that Mongolia's economy grew by 6.8% last year, an achievement made possible in part by the policies of the President Khurelsukh. During the expanded format talks, he warmly recalled his visit to Ulaanbaatar in 2024, emphasizing that it resulted in key agreements and elevated bilateral relations to the level of strategic partnership, results that are already visible. Last year, trade between Kazakhstan and Mongolia increased by 7.7%, exceeding $130 million. The two countries are now aimed to raise this figure to $500 million. The negotiations also delivered concrete outcomes. Kazakhstan and Mongolia plan to expand cooperation in livestock farming, improve product safety standards, and increase the use of Kazakh veterinary vaccines, including the possibility of joint production. A separate focus is the digital development, with discussions covering cooperation in remote sensing technologies and specialist training. In addition, direct flights between Astana and Ulaanbaatar, as well as the Uсть-Kamenogorsk and OLG, are set to resume, while work has begun on establishing a direct road connection.
It is well known that roads are not just a means of connectivity, but a guarantee of strong and lasting relations between countries. In this regard, President Khurelsukh and I reaffirmed our shared interest in establishing direct links between Kazakhstan and Mongolia. We reached a common understanding on the need to construct a highway connecting our two nations. Therefore, together with my Mongolian counterpart, we agreed to establish at the initial stage a joint intergovernmental working group.
Interest in Kazakh education is also growing. Nearly 2,000 Mongolian students are currently studying at universities in Kazakhstan. Today, the sites formalize cooperation through agreements between their academies of sciences and specialized research centers, including cooperation between the Shokhan Valihanov Institute of History and Ethnology and Chinggis Khan University in Ulaanbaatar. There was also a proposal to open a branch of leading Kazakh university in Mongolia's capital.
Another important agreement concerns history and archaeology. We are working closely with Mongolian colleagues on the Golden Horde period. A major 7-volume publication is underway, and we are seeing valuable new archaeological and historiographical findings. We're also cooperating with the Vatican.
The result of the state-level negotiations were sealed with the signing of a package of documents. The 13 agreements cover key areas including diplomacy, the economy, energy, finance, and peaceful nuclear development, as well as culture, science, media, and inter-regional cooperation.
Сампылдондоп чулуун өзара түсіністік пен ынтымақтастық туралы меморандуммен алмасады.
Kassam-Jomart Tokayev also awarded Ukhnagin Khurulsukh the Order of Altyn Qıran. This is a symbol of deep respect from the Kazakh people, the president emphasized.
Mongolia президенті Ukhnagin Khurulsukh Altyn Qıran орденімен наградталады.
Alongside the president, around 100 representatives of Mongolian businesses arrived in Kazakhstan, representing 5 key sectors: industry, energy, logistics, road construction, and digitalization. They joined Kazakh business leaders at the Kazakhstan-Mongolia Business Forum, where 19 cooperation agreements were signed. These agreements focus on concrete projects, including a contract to supply railway cars to Mongolia, worth around $7 million. Discussions also covered opportunities in the mining and metallurgical sectors, and energy, including prospects for joint projects.
For this business forum, there are about 300 businesses from Kazakhstan and Mongolia. From Mongolia, there are about businesses from basically 5 sectors, including infrastructure, construction, and light industry, food, and logistics. Also, during this business forum, the businesses will be having a visit to the AI center. So we are very much interested in the AI development of Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan has invested around $50 million into Mongolia's economy, while Mongolian investments in Kazakhstan have exceeded $7 million. Today, more than 400 Mongolian companies operate in Kazakhstan, including 20 joint ventures. Almira Mirov, Nuray Sulbek, New Time.
7%, that is the current share of renewable energy in Kazakhstan's power generation, a figure President Kassam-Jomart Tokayev expects to more than double by 2030. The head of state reaffirmed these targets at the Regional Ecological Summit in Astana, an initiative launched by Kazakhstan under the auspices of the UN. The forum brought together leaders from across Central Asia alongside the president of Georgia, Armenia and Mongolia to confront a shared climate crisis. From the rapid melting of glaciers to the urgent need for green investment, the agenda addressed the most critical environmental threats facing Eurasia today. My colleague Nuray Asylbek reports on a landmark 3 days in the capital.
We look forward to hosting a regional climate summit. We decided to convene a regional climate summit. We will host a regional ecological summit.
Пользуясь возможностью, информирую всех партнеров о решении провести региональный экологический саммит.
Kazakhstan will host a regional ecological summit.
Одновременно с региональным экологическим саммитом. Я рассчитываю на ваше активное участие.
The seeds of this summit were sown across the ocean. 3 years ago at the 78th UN General Assembly, President Kassam-Jomart Tokayev called for a regional climate summit, a vision he has since consistently advanced on key international platforms. But as the environmental drumbeat grew louder, so did the summit's ambition, evolving from a climate discussion into broader ecological agenda. And now, hosting the regional ecological summit on Earth Day was no coincidence.
Indeed, today, on Earth Day, we gather in Astana to reaffirm our shared responsibility to protect our planet. It means that the states of our region clearly understand the urgency and extreme significance of having shared vision for a resilient future. Ecology today is not limited to climate alone. It is the very foundation of human livelihood. Therefore, our today's summit is timely and necessary.
Echoing the president's call, other leaders took the floor to outline critical environmental challenges, forming a united front for the region. But the dialogue didn't end with official statements. The summit's vision found its practical reflection at the Expo International Exhibition Center, where the International Green Technologies exhibition served as its logical extension. With over 240 participants from 30 countries, the venue became a global showroom for innovation, offering real-world solutions to reduce the environmental footprint. The heads of state also visited exhibition pavilions to review the latest ecological innovations. The scale of RES 2026 is reflected in the numbers. Approximately 1,500 participants gathered in Astana, representing government bodies, international organizations, and the global business community. This isn't a singular conversation, but a multi-layered strategy divided into 8 key thematic areas. The agenda moves from climate transition and economic resilience to the critical issues of food security and sustainable resource management. But the most urgent dialogue centers on President Tokayev's initiative to establish the International Water Organization. In Astana, experts are already drafting a new global water architecture with a strengthening UN mandate to support nations in crisis. This discussion serves as a direct bridge to the UN Water Conference in Abu Dhabi this December. The resulting report will serve as a roadmap to institutionalize water management beyond 2026. As the dialogue shifts toward a holistic approach, international experts see this as a vital first step.
I'm so happy that it is Kazakhstan initiative starting to establish its international water institution, which will be oriented mostly on the holistic approach. I hope this discussion which you started in Kazakhstan will be key first step to multi-sectoral dialogue between official global institutions together with national and regional platform.
The 3-day summit in Astana has come to a close, leaving behind a clear message. Nature can exist without geopolitics, but geopolitics cannot survive without nature. By adopting the Astana Declaration of Ecological Solidarity, the region has moved beyond simply stating intentions to actively implementing solutions. As the head of state emphasized, the environmental safety is no longer a technicality. It is now embedded in our national DNA. Initiatives like the nationwide Kazakh movement have already proven that ecological responsibility is a shared civic duty. Nuray Asılbek, New Time.
The environmental agenda in Astana moved forward with a high-level meeting of the Council of Heads of State, founders of the International Fund for Saving the RLC, held at the Akorda residence under the chairmanship of Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. Bringing together leaders from across the region, the meeting was attended by Shavkat Mirziyoyev of Uzbekistan, Emomali Rahmon of Tajikistan, Sadr Japarov of Kyrgyzstan, and Serdar Berdimuhamedov of Turkmenistan, highlighting the shared responsibility for the region's environmental future. With all 5 Central Asian states represented at the highest level, the focus shifted toward coordinated action, particularly in preserving the ecosystem of the RLC basin. In this context, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev emphasized that the International Fund for Saving the RLC remains the only regional institutional platform designed to ensure coordination of states' efforts in addressing water management and environmental issues in Central Asia, a role that is becoming increasingly critical. At the same time, he warned that despite some progress, the scale of environmental threats continues to outpace the measures currently being taken.
This is not an issue of national or tactical importance, but rather a strategic challenge of global significance. Therefore, it is essential to move toward practical action, including the modernization of the fund's operational mechanisms. This will help strengthen the applied, result-oriented nature of its work. In our view, the role of the fund should be reinforced as a central regional platform, one that can effectively address water, environmental and sustainable development issues in the interest of all Central Asian countries.
The summit concluded with the signing of 4 key documents, including a summary of Kazakhstan's chairmanship, a proposal to declare March 26th as the International Day of the RLC and the Amudarya and Sirdarya rivers, the election of the fund's president, and the adoption of the Astana Declaration. During the high-level week in Astana, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev held a series of meetings with representatives of major international organizations, reaffirming Kazakhstan's commitment to multilateral cooperation. The head of state met with the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, OSCE Secretary General Feridun Sinirlioglu, Chairman of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly Pierre John Pon, as well as heads of key international conventions and leaders of global institutions. Special attention was given to strengthening global partnerships in healthcare, environmental protection and sustainable development. In this context, at a meeting with a group of high-level United Nations representatives, the President stressed the importance of collective action and the role of diplomacy.
You are aware that Kazakhstan is a firm supporter of effective multilateral diplomacy. We are meeting at a time of growing uncertainty and unpredictability, when geopolitical tensions are rising and the logic of force is increasingly prevailing over the norms of international law. Yesterday, I spoke about all these very complex issues that we, as a united international community, will have to address within the framework of the United Nations and beyond.
In addition, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev held a number of bilateral meetings with foreign leaders. Talks were held with the President of Tajikistan, Emomali Rahmon, where the sides focused on expanding trade and economic ties, as well as cooperation in the water and energy sectors. The President also met with the President of Georgia, Mikhail Kavelashvili, highlighting the country's role as a key partner in the South Caucasus and expressing readiness to deepen bilateral engagement. At the same time, the head of state received chairwoman of the Eastern Committee of the German Economy, Katrin Klaas-Mühlhauser, and CEO of EDF, Bernard Fontana, with discussions centered on investment, energy cooperation, and industrial partnerships. On the sidelines of the summit, we had the opportunity to speak with Inger Andersen, the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, ahead of her meeting with Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. According to her, organization's estimates, Central Asia could lose up to 75% of its glaciers by the end of this century, while the Caspian Sea is facing a triple environmental crisis. In an exclusive interview, she praised the summit, emphasizing that the presidents of Central Asian countries stood shoulder to shoulder, united in addressing the urgent need for environmental conversation.
Look at this magnificent summit. Let's just begin here, and my deep appreciation to this beautiful country of Kazakhstan. You brought together not just the region, but the world. And everyone is here, and they're talking about these issues. Yes, the issues that you mentioned here in the region, but also the global issues. And it shows that we have problems in all countries with climate change, but here you have some countries, they're coming together. Presidents are standing shoulder to shoulder, speaking to the imperative of ecological conservation. And yes, climate action is critical because we are projecting, we at the United Nations Environment Programme are projecting that we would lose 75% of the glaciers of this beautiful region, Tajikistan and so on, by 2100. And of course, we have lost 70% or more of the Aral Sea surface, and the Caspian is under threat as well. So action, climate action first of all, is important. And I've heard ministers very much speak about sand and dust storms, about droughts and floods and so on. And so the importance of pulling together at this time is absolutely critical. So bravo to Kazakhstan for pulling together.
Scan the QR code below to head over to our YouTube channel and watch the full interview. We've curated the summit's key takeaways, expert perspectives, and first-hand insights all in one place. Astana has officially become the focal point of the global environmental agenda as the first ever regional ecological summit opened this week. Hosting delegates from over 55 countries, the event has already made waves in the international press. Joining me now to discuss how the international press is reacting to the summit's outcomes is my colleague Nuray Asylbek. Nuray, welcome. What are the key takeaways from the foreign media? What are today's headlines?
Good evening, Yergali. Indeed, the international community is paying close attention. Most major outlets are framing the summit not just as a meeting, but as a long-awaited shift toward a unified regional strategy. For instance, Euronews highlights that this is the first time the region's governments have gathered with such a specific, action-oriented goal.
The first ever regional ecological summit will bring the region's governments together with the aim of establishing a roadmap that turns commitments into concrete climate actions while fostering deeper regional cooperation.
However, the most critical and profound analysis come from the US-based publication The Diplomat. They emphasize that while Astana is proven host for high-level events, the true measure of success will be whether this forum can become a real mechanism for solving the region's gravest threats.
The goal of the RES 2026 is to serve as a regional platform for dialogue and solidarity by promoting cooperation, raising awareness of priority environmental issues, identifying practical solutions and shaping action plans. The aftermath of the summit will demonstrate if it can serve as an effective pro-environment mechanism.
This sense of solidarity is also reflected in the legal frameworks discussed at the forum. Turkey's Yenin Shafak and France La Presse Turquoise, along with Cyprus Vilnius, emphasized that Kazakhstan has elevated these issues to the highest level, noting that the new constitution clearly reflects environmental protection as a fundamental priority of state policy.
Well, it's clear the political foundation is solid, but what about the economic dimension? Does the press see tangible results?
Absolutely, Ergali. The financial scale of the event is a major headline, particularly in Asian media. The Korea Herald reports that the summit is not just about dialogue, but about significant capital investments.
The three-day event has become a major forum for discussions on regional environmental issues, including water shortages that threaten economic development. It is said to host as many as 58 sessions through Friday, alongside the signing of investment-related agreements worth about $2 billion, according to Kazakhstan's Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources.
In summary, the global consensus is that Astana is successfully bridging the gap between high-level diplomacy and practical, multi-billion-dollar environmental solution. Ergali, that's it for me today. Giving the floor back to you.
Thank you, Nuray. That was the latest from the international media on the Regional Ecological Summit in Astana. Continuing on the political agenda, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev also received the Deputy Prime Minister for Economic Affairs of Oman, Thayazin bin Haytham Al Said. During the meeting, the head of state noted that Oman remains a long-standing and reliable partner of Kazakhstan in the Arab world, reaffirming Astana's commitment to further expanding bilateral cooperation. He also expressed support for the people of Oman amid the current challenges in the Middle East. The discussions focused on the prospects for expanding Kazakh-Omani trade and economic cooperation, with a particular emphasis on energy, metallurgy, transport and logistics, agriculture and digitalization. The sides also emphasized the importance of strengthening cultural and humanitarian ties. For his part, the Omani Deputy Prime Minister thanked the Kazakh president for the warm welcome and confirmed his country's intention to deepen interstate ties. At the end of the meeting, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev awarded his counterpart the Order of Dostik in recognition of his significant contribution to strengthening cooperation and fostering friendship between the two nations. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has visited the International Artificial Intelligence Center Alem AI in Astana. He was presented with the Astana Smart City project, a flagship initiative aimed at building next-generation intelligent urban infrastructure. The unified AI platform integrates city data and systems in real time, enabling more efficient and responsive governance. The president also took part in launching several educational initiatives, including the Tomorrow School of Artificial Intelligence, the Tumo Center for Creative Technologies for Teenagers, and the AI Research University, which is set to open this September. The head of state also addressed the award ceremony for the winners of the Alem AI Battle and the AI Governance Cup held at Alem AI. He expressed confidence that a new generation of forward-thinking youth will become the driving force behind the country's progress and elevate Kazakhstan's global standing. He emphasized that comprehensive digitalization and the integration of artificial intelligence are among the key drivers of the country's overall modernization.
Вместе с тем очевидно, что стремительное развитие цифровых технологий.
The development of computing infrastructure remains a key priority. The launch of the supercomputer cluster makes a major step towards strengthening the country's technological sovereignty. Next on the agenda is the creation of the data center valley in Kazakhstan. The implementation of this large-scale project will help attract new investments and reinforce our position as a regional digital hub. Comprehensive digitalization and the integration of artificial intelligence are now among the key drivers of Kazakhstan's modernization, from public administration to the creative industries.
Speaking at the award ceremony for the winners of the Alem AI Battle and the AI Governance Cup, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev announced that Astana will host a new landmark international event this fall. The Astana AI Film Festival aims to turn the city into a global hub for creators working at the intersection of film and artificial intelligence, where imagination is powered by innovation. My colleague Nuraya Selbek reports.
Astana AI Film Festival is coming.
It has been just 3 weeks since this trailer dropped and has already captured public attention, largely driven by one striking detail, a $1 million prize fund. But behind the hype there is a much bigger idea. Astana AI Film Festival is set to debut this fall, bringing a new creative platform to Kazakhstan's film industry. The event will center on an international short film competition open to creators worldwide.
Making a film festival is a unique project itself, since there hasn't been any projects like this in our country or in our neighboring countries. That's the first thing. Another thing is that the prize fund is really huge, $1 million. $1 million of private money, not the state money. That's also very important in terms of developing of our AI in our country. The other unique thing is the list of competitors. There are no limits from any country, no age restrictions, no gender limitations.
Submissions will open in May and run through the end of August. Openness and experimentation are at the core of the project. Still, organizers stress, creative freedom does not mean there are no rules. All entries must be original. The use of existing intellectual property, whether music, scripts or visual asset, is strictly prohibited. Projects that violate ethical standards or legal requirements will also be disqualified. In other words, it's not just about using AI, it's about creating something new with it.
Once submissions close, all entries will go through a pre-selection process. A shortlist will be announced in October, just ahead of the main event, which will take place from October 1st to 3rd in Astana. Winners will be selected by an international jury, which is currently in formation. At the same time, organizers are exploring a more unconventional idea, involving artificial intelligence in the judging process itself. In this case, AI will serve an advisory role, offering analysis alongside human experts. This was announced during a press conference by the organizers.
Beyond the competition, the festival is designed as a broader creative hub, featuring film screenings, an AI-focused conference and pitch sessions where creators can present their ideas to producers and investors. Looking ahead, Astana AI Film Festival is planned as an annual event. What started as an experiment today could soon become Kazakhstan's entry point into the global AI film landscape. Nuraya Selbek, New Time.
That's it for today. You've been watching New Time, your weekly roundup of the most important news and events from Kazakhstan and Central Asia. Stay with us for deeper analysis and special projects on politics, economy, society and culture. Watch Silkway TV channel and see you next week.